Today is Monday, December 15, 2014, the 349th day of the year. There are 16 days remaining until the end of 2014. On this day in 533 AD, Byzantine Emperor Justinian I gets the old empire back together when his general, Flavius Belisarius, defeats the Vandals commanded by their king, Gelimer, at the Battle of Tricamarum. When the Roman Empire, by the 6th century of the Christian era, reaches its maximum sphere of influence, two imperial capitals are created, Rome in the west and Byzantium in the east. The Vandals, an effective coalition of East German tribes likely originating in southern Scandinavia, are on the move south. They're sick of the ice, the snow, scraping the rime frost off the inside of the windshield, the multiple layers of reindeer hide, chewed up and softened by strong-jawed Vandal women. In 409 AD, they've pushed on across the Pyrenees from Gaul onto the Iberian Peninsula. Love the sunshine, the warmth, acquire a taste for olives and dried figs. Decide Iberia would be an excellent place for their kingdom. Squeeze the Romans out to the east. And on October 19, 429 AD, following their king, Genseric, they take Carthage, a devastating blow to the empire. Carthage, modern-day Tunisia, terrific town, Mediterranean beachfront, becomes capital of the Vandal kingdom. Genseric takes a pissant tribe of marauding gangsters and builds a mighty superpower. Also, he builds a navy, rules the western Mediterranean. He and his boys invade and sack Rome itself. Vandals on top of the world. Just a few years later, how many years? Wait a minute, do the math. 5, 3, 3, take away 4, 2, what is that? Oh, it's a 9. 9 equals, come on, 104. I knew that. 104 years later, here comes new Byzantine emperor, a customer called Justinian I. You've heard of him, young cat, very forward-thinking. His uncle, when he was emperor before him, Justin I, passes a law allowing marriage between classes. Justinian takes advantage, marries the lovely Theodora, his favorite concubine, kills 2 birds, brings it all back home. She's a shrewd judge of character, being a prostitute and all. She's his most trusted advisor, also, benefits. They're close, very close. Justinian, the emperor who never sleeps. How can he? Got's his hands full. Starts putting the old Western Empire back together, starting with Iberia in the hands of the Vandals. Justinian sends his prefect, Petrus Marcellinus Felix Liberius, to take back Iberia, starting in the south, moving northward, renaming the place Hispania. Then, between June 533 AD and March 534, blitzkrieg under the sword of the great general Greek fella Flavius Belisarius, through north coastal Africa, modern-day Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Sardinia. Vandals, who outnumber the Romans at least by 2 to 1, have their 100 years in the sun. But mostly lose on points in the early rounds. The knockout punch comes less than 20 miles from Carthage, when the Romans fight their way into the mobbed-up Vandal outpost at Tricamarum. The Vandal king, Gelimer, agrees to surrender in exchange for safe passage out of the country. For his trouble, he gets a vast estate in Galatia, in Anatolian highlands, where he lives to be an old man, dreaming of his sweet beachfront kingdom, girls in skimpy swimwear on the Mediterranean, his days of Carthaginian glory. On this day in 1890, Hunkpapa Lakota chief Sitting Bull is killed on Standing Rock Indian Reservation in South Dakota, leading to the massacre of 300 unarmed elderly tribal men, women, and children at Wounded Knee Creek. In 1890, the Paiute Jack Wilson, also known as Wovoka, tribal spiritual leader, teaches that practice of a circle dance called the ghost dance will reunite the spirits of departed tribespeople with the living, leading to peace and prosperity. The dance, a sensation among the Paiute of Nevada in 1889, and quickly spreads throughout the western United States. It gives the people hope. Around the same time, the Federal Bureau of Indian Affairs wants tribal people on reservations to practice farming, and they bring in white farmers to teach best American agricultural practices. Hilarious, because without Wampanoag planters in New England, the Puritans would never have made it through the first winter, which, given historical perspective from the native point of view, might not have been such a bad thing. But given the lack of rainfall in summer and fall 1890 in arid South Dakota, the harvest fails. And with buffalo herds decimated across the plains of near extinction, tribespeople are starving. At the same time, government policy reduces distribution of food rations to the reservation. Ghost Dance arrives at Standing Rock, perceived as a threat, puts the fear into Indian agent James McLaughlin. McLaughlin wants Chief Sitting Bull to put a stop to ghost dancing on the reservation. Sitting Bull knows there's nothing he can do about it. Around 5:30 a.m. on this day in 1890, 39 tribal police officers and 4 volunteers arrive at Sitting Bull's house at Standing Rock to arrest him. Officers surround the house. Robert Utley, in his book The Last Days of the Lakota Nation, writes Lieutenant Henry Bullhead of Standing Rock Tribal Police knocks at the door, enters, tells Sitting Bull he's under arrest and leads him outside. By this time, the camp is awake, gathering at the home of their chief. Bullhead tells Sitting Bull that McLaughlin wants to see him, and afterward, he'll be able to return home. Bullhead orders the chief to come with the officers to see McLaughlin. Sitting Bull resists, refusing to leave his home. The officers lay hands on Sitting Bull, which enrages the gathered Sioux villagers. Utley says a Lakota tribesman, Catch the Bear, quickly shoulders his rifle and shoots Bullhead, who reacts with a single shot of his revolver into Sitting Bull's chest. Another tribal police officer, Red Tomahawk, shoots Sitting Bull through the head. The chief drops to the ground. 6 tribal police officers are killed in the fighting that immediately breaks out, along with 7 of Sitting Bull's supporters and 2 horses. Later, 2 more tribal police officers are killed. Sitting Bull lingers until about midday, then dies from his wounds. On this day in 1970, Soviet spacecraft Venera 7 successfully lands on the second planet from the Sun, Venus. Launched August 17, 1970. It takes 120 days to complete the one-way voyage. This is the first successful soft landing on another planet. From the data transmitted and received, Soviets analyze Venusian atmosphere to be 97% carbon dioxide. Atmosphere out there so dense and noxious, pictures look like downtown Beijing on a heavy-duty workday. And surface temperature measures about 887 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe 800 degrees hotter than Miami Beach. Probably not going back anytime soon. Hard times, not worth it. Life as we know it, not happening. American author, actor, poet, musician, former political activist John Trudell writes, "The history of the people is one of cooperation, collectivity, and living in balance. The history of the so-called Indians is one of being attacked and genocide, rather than a history of peace and balance. The history of the people under attack, the Indians, in an evolutionary context, is not very long. It's only 500 years." From Rutland, Vermont, this is Richard Alcott speaking.